All right, welcome to Vicky 3 Academy. I'm Walker. So what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of do like a redux of how I think a more useful Chile tutorial would be structured. So, first thing you do is you load in here as Chile. You should probably have some historical figure from Chile pop up here. I'm not sure exactly who you'd want to choose. I've chosen some other historical figures who I think would be fun to pop in as well. But I think you should have a historical figure who just like pops up as an advisor when you're playing the tutorial, who helps you first understand just a little bit about your country. Like I know that when we're playing the tutorial that we get that block of text that tells us like, where we are, but Paradox is not like an insane indie game company anymore. They have the money. They can hire a voice actor. They can have a little bit of animation here, or at least like a portrait with dialogue popping out of it, and have that person like tell you a little bit about the challenges that your country has faced so far and the resources that you have. So then for those of you who've watched the tutorial videos, then the next thing that happens is that the tutorial instructs you to start building something. But as I discussed in that video, I think that the very first thing that it sort of instructs you to do, which is like build agriculture, is kind of dumb. And I think the way that they should do that should be something that one of my viewers, Frostbite, pointed out. I think that you should have just like a little portrait of like Thomas Jefferson pop up, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, you should definitely build agriculture stuff, because the core of a strong national economy is making sure that you have control over the agricultural production in the world, and that's really good. And once you've controlled that and exporting, then you can make a lot of money for your freeholding people." And he starts trying to convince you to do that, but then, oh no, out of nowhere, it's Karl Marx who appears, and he's like, "No, Thomas Jefferson, we should work on building up our industrial base, so that way the proletariat can finally have something to give them class consciousness, and it's really important that we industrialize right away." And then Thomas Hobbes pops in and is like, "No, we should work on the bureaucratic deficit, because the state is the only thing that matters." And then they have a conversation like, "Oh yeah, I agree, the state is a great thing, you're right, we should work on that bureaucratic deficit." And then that's a way to like immediately make it clear that what the game is about is these incredible conversations. That's really what the game is about. The game is about incredible economic and political conversations. And if you're not a part of them on Reddit and Discord, you should be. I'm not even sure there's like a right answer to some of the questions that we're asking right now, because I don't think that anyone is willing to dig deep enough into the data to like, and also like there's just too many moving parts, really, is the biggest problem. There's too many moving parts to like pin down exactly what the best strategy is right now, but there are ways that we can measure it. But I like having these little advisors pop in and like lend some historical flavor to the dialogue, because you can do other things. Like they have all these different goals, and like you can have Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony be advisors in an egalitarian playthrough, right? Like we can pick historical characters from all over human history that are part of this conversation, whether they are alive or not. Does not matter, right? Having them add flavor to the underlying game in the tutorial, I think is going to really draw people in. I think that there's no reason to dumb it down and say just build wheat farms because they're wheat farms. I think the people who are playing Victoria 3 are exactly the sorts of people who, if you make it clear to them that there's like something really crazy going on down here, they will most of them not bounce off. So that's sort of like a basic idea of what I think that the tutorials should look like. I think that there are a lot of different ways to build it out. Obviously, you don't have to use the advisor thing from Total War, but I think that really this is the perfect game for it, because some of them will say things that are right, and some of them will also be like, "Hey, after you've played through the first 5 years of the game, one of these advisors will stick around with you for like the next 20 years or so. Which one do you want it to be?" They'll give you advice on how to build up the interest group that they're associated with, right? Like if you were like, oh, I really want to build up rural folk, then you click, then you're like, oh yeah, let me keep Thomas Jefferson around as my advisor for a while. Or if you're like, I really want to build up trade unions, or I really want to get feminism or multiculturalism passed. Like, you see, like, they're give player agency to the way that they learn and give them flavor and dynamics, and the tutorial will be a lot better than where it is right now, where it's just like a bunch of goddamn text and it doesn't even really teach you how to play correctly. It just teaches you how to play, which is like, and to emphasize, because there are different advisors, playing correctly is one of those things that's sort of like nebulous. But what I mean is play with player agency, play with understanding of what it is that you are doing, and that is playing correctly. And I think right now the tutorial teaches you to play without thinking about your actions, and that's very bad. I think a lot of the problems that we're seeing in communication on Reddit and Discord right now are just because people aren't thinking about their actions, and that's understandable. It's a really complicated game, but I think the tutorial would do the community a much better service if it taught people that you got to have your thinking toque on for this one, kids. Okay, that's Walker. That's the tutorial Redux. And no, I am not going to edit out me filming OBS in like insane crazy mode. Okay, bye.